Hey YouTube, Sam here. Well, the reason you're looking at the back of my truck is I'm planning on putting a winch on the back of it. So I'm gonna not only do a winch install in this video, but the reason I'm just putting it on the back of it for right now is we're heading out of town, as you can see the boat over there, to go down a river. And there's a spot where I'm thinking I can put a little zip line over this creek that we camp by. So I'm going to try and make this happen. Well, you're going to hear barking in the background because I got neighbor dogs. Anyhow, this is one of those things where if I do anything you don't like, don't do it. And I'm not responsible if you do and somebody gets hurt. So there you go. Anyhow, we're going to start. And actually, I did a video on this right here. And it just goes in the back of your rig and holds it basically. Now it has side pieces and stuff on it, so I need to throw those on, and we'll go ahead and do that. I'm going to do that off camera because that's basically just throwing these on here and throwing a couple of bolts in there, so that should be simple enough. This up in here and on. I got a video on this. Go check that out if you want any information about how I feel about it. You start out with these square ones here to mount it. There's actually a hole down in the winch to put it in here. Here they have an actual direction in which should be up and down, but one side has some letters and numbers on it, so I'm going to put those up. And just kind of slide them in the holes. I'm sure it's going to be one of those things where you got to kind of dangle it around until you find where to put it. Alright, and my first mistake. I forgot to put the washers and lock washers under here, so for each one of these, pull it out, put a washer, start out lock washer, then a washer, and put it back up in there. And now I'm going to go ahead and mount the rollers on here. And so I'm going to go ahead and clip this. Hopefully, because it's mounted on here, but it's not mounted permanently right now. I was hoping I could actually put that down through there, but it doesn't appear it's going to want to go, but I'll get it. Well, should have brought this through first. Okay. Let's see here. Disengage. There we go. That might have helped too to disengage it. Now, admittedly, I should ought to put this on first. Too little, too late. And I'm going to go ahead and put the washer and lock washer on this side. Whoa! And the nut on the other side, because it doesn't really look like there's a whole lot of room to get everything on that back side, regardless of how you... Here's that these are 19mm or 3/4 if that's what you got. Boy, that just... Definitely want to probably put this on first. Just quite honestly, yeah. On the other hand, this seems to be holding it, at least for now. I may have to actually take this off, we'll see. Oh boy. See, I see the first huge flaw in this. I've been unhappy with this. You put the winch in here and it's hitting it up against here. And I'm pretty sure the 12,000 pound and the 9,000 pound are pretty well the same size. It's just a matter of the different cable they use. So you can get it in there, but it's even tighter on this side. Well, I got it all on there, got it buttoned up. Now it's time to do the electrical stuff and try to figure out how to wire this thing up. And I was thinking about trying to wire something up that would come from my plug back here. It really does say to directly hook it to a battery, so I haven't quite figured out exactly how I'm going to do it yet. First thing I'm going to do is put the box on here, and for now I'm going to put it here. This looks very easy to put wherever you want, but for right now it is meant to hook over the top here. And there's just a couple of screws right here on the back of this that you just screw those in, and that kind of holds it underneath here. So real simple. And tighten those up. Probably don't want to completely reef on them too much. But you want it snug so that it doesn't pop off either. I don't plan on driving with this down the road like this or anything right now. This is just for the project I'm doing for now, and to kind of play with and test out the winch when I don't really need it to work. Here, there's actually a bolt on the bottom of the winch that will come off, and a washer under there. It's one thing I gotta say, this for a Harbor Freight thing too, this winch has come with all the nuts, bolts, and washers and lock washers and everything, which is surprising for a Harbor Freight thing. But with winches, you know, people's safety is involved. I still probably would change the hardware out for some better grade hardware, maybe. I don't know what grade it is. Oh, I should probably tell you what I'm doing here. First of all, there's a black from the box here. There's a black wire, just a ground wire, and that has to go down here, down on this bottom where that nut came off of there. And then there's this right here, and that's going to go on the bottom down there as well. And I'm just going to take a small part of it here. Get my bald head in your way probably. Okay. And again, this probably would be easier if it wasn't bolted down, but at the same time, trying to hold this thing up while doing this wouldn't be all that easy either, so at least right now it's being held. And I got pretty fat fingers and I'm still accomplishing it. And I should have probably checked to see what size that nut was down there. And I'm not going to tighten that yet until I know exactly where I'm going to put that. And that just goes to a ground source on the vehicle, I believe. Oh, no, I'm incorrect. That goes to a ground source on the battery. So we'll leave that for there right now. Going away here, so hopefully you can see everything. Now, we got 2 black wires and 2 red wires coming off the back of this box here. The black wire that has the black boot on it goes on this one here. And I need to get this red one out of my way here better. Okay, so putting that on there, and on there, on top of these, there was a washer and a lock washer. So I'll put the washer and lock washer and a nut and the other nut. Alright, that one goes on there. We'll tighten that up, put the boot on there. Now, The other black wire, it has a yellow boot, goes on this one here. Same process. The washer and lock washer on, and the nut, tighten those up. Then you got two red ones, one with a boot on it and one longer one that's coiled up here. The one with the boot on it goes here. And this is what they're going to look like when you first do it. I just kind of undid them for expedient purposes. Okay. Now, we'll get all those tightened up. It comes with this right here. Now, the coiled up red one goes onto this right here. And it's got the washer, lock washer, all that stuff already on it. And I'm actually going to put that up here. For now. I'm not tightening anything up till I know exactly. I mean, these you could tighten up because they're pretty well where they're going to be. But I haven't decided what I'm going to do as far as battery stuff. This right here goes on the positive battery side, right to the battery. And then the black one that's coiled up down here, that's coming off the bottom down here, goes on the negative battery side. And that should, in theory, have this thing wired up. You plug in your remote to here, and this should be working. So I'm going to figure out how I'm going to power this, and we'll go from there. And while I'm at it, I probably should throw in that these are 1/2 inch or 13 millimeter, whatever you just choose. Now, if this was hooked to a battery, this would be a big no-no because I'd be doing positive to a ground here, so be real careful. If you got, I would suggest not having power to this yet. And in fact, I'd probably suggest not having power until you're ready to use it, when you have it hooked up the way I have it right now, where it's just on the back here. Figured out my first snafu. I don't know, it's not really snafu, but kind of a pain in the rear trying to figure out how to get this up over the top of this. And it doesn't seem to matter whichever way I have the, once you tighten this down, this is really difficult to get on. So I would call this a design flaw of some sort here, because these boots are going to be really difficult to get on without busting some wires here, bending some wires at the very least. But they will go on. So a little bit of a something could be done a little better than that. And then you wind up with this and this coming off of here. So this goes to your positive battery, this goes to the negative battery. I've really decided with the size cable that they have here and what it says on the paperwork to hook it directly to a battery, I don't really want to use those tiny wires to get power to it. So I'm going to use my jumper box here for now. It's basically like having a 12-volt battery. I'm sure it would use this up pretty quickly if I were to use it for a longer period of time, but for testing I think this will do good. Alright, so I haven't done anything other than pull this out some. I'm going to turn on the battery here. Hopefully that gives me some power. And here's the remote. Holding this with my gloved hand, so hopefully I don't hurt myself. And right now it's in the out, so I'm going to engage this like that and do in. Now here's one thing, I'm doing this for testing yet again only. Before I use this, or before I was to pull anything with this, you want to pull this completely out of here and put light pressure on it as you restring it back in. You don't ever want to use a brand new winch to start pulling with right away, or you can start really kinking up and messing up your wire. You don't hear that a lot, but it's the way it is. So hopefully we have power, we're all hooked up, we're going to hit the button and see what happens. Nothing feels hot. Wires feel okay. Nothing feels hot down here on the box or where it's hooked to, so I think that battery, the jumper box, is working just fine for this anyway. And you don't want to bind this up into here, so I'm going to stop there. I put this on, and you just have the pin here. I don't know if you can see this. Yes, you can. You got the cotter pin here. This pulls out. You put your loop through there, and you're good to go. This comes with it. You got to put that on. That's just to pull it. All right. Well, I'm pretty happy so far. Yet again, proof is in the pudding on how well this will work. But right now, the setup I have will do for what I'm planning on doing for this weekend anyway. Alright, YouTube, well, I screwed up. I did this video about the winch and all that stuff, and I had grand plans. I was actually gonna, when we went camping, I was gonna run a zip line for the kids to kind of go over a creek that's by a place we go camping a lot, and it's one of those places that not a lot of people know about, so I usually get it every year, but unfortunately this year I didn't get it, so that kind of went away. And then we found another spot. It was a nice spot. Actually would have worked out. Found a place to run the zip line. Actually drug the whole thing out and hooked it up, or started hooking it up, and went to go look for the remote for the winch, and I left it in a box right next to where the winch was setting at home. So not only did I forget that, but I also forgot a battery to run it with, although I have a battery thing for my generator, little thing, so I could use. I was going to use that. I realized I didn't bring the battery sooner than I realized I didn't bring the remote. But without the remote, there's not a whole lot you can do, so I wasn't able to make it work. So unfortunately, you didn't get to see that. Hopefully next year, because I don't know as we're going to be getting out any much more this summer, at least not where I'll be able to do that kind of thing. But anyhow, hopefully next year I'll run that out and maybe make a little video on that. But needless to say, this didn't end the way I planned on it. But hopefully you got some good information out of it and enjoyed it. I will be hooking it up differently on my truck at some point. And I'm going to actually build a bumper for it and everything. So keep an eye out for that video. That's probably quite a ways away though. I don't even know if I'll get that done this year. So anyhow, this is Sam, Jack of all, and obviously Master of none. You all have a good one.